reproduction. In the last session, we discussed that the asexual reproduction in both animals and plants. And today, we will discuss with the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. And we know that the differences between asexual and sexual reproduction. In the asexual reproduction, there is only a single parent is involvement and there is no production of gametes and all. But in the sexual reproduction, here if you observe the characters of the sexual reproduction, it is a biparental. Means, first we will see the characters. First of all, it is a biparental process. Means, two parents are involved. Two parents are involved. So it is a male and female. And the next one is gametes are always produced. Without gametes, there is no meaning of the sexual reproduction. So the next one is gamete formation. Gamete formation. And the offspring which is produced as a result of sexual reproduction is genetically different from the parent, because here two parents are involved. So the genetically these offsprings may differ from the parents. So genetically the offspring are genetically different from the parent. And as we discussed earlier, here in the sexual reproduction, the variations occur. There is a chance of variations. Reason already I told you that there is a involvement of two parents, so that by combining of the characters of two parents, that offspring is produced, so that in the offspring, if we observe the characters, then there is a chance of variations occurred. So variations occurred. And one more point here it is, the multiplication of offspring or the rate of the producing offspring is slow, differ from the asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, within a short period, there is a chance of producing number of offspring. But in sexual reproduction, because sexual reproduction, it is a particular time period, only the reproduction takes place. So that the multiplication of offspring or multiplication of species is very slow. Multiplication, or we can say that it is a reproduction rate. Multiplication is slow. So these are the characteristics of sexual reproduction. So two parents are involved, so it is a biparental process, and gamete formation takes place, then fusion of gamete takes place. As a result of this fusion of gametes, zygote is formed, from which the embryo and individual is formed. And offspring are genetically different from the parent. Then variations occur due to the combination of or participating of two parents. Multiplication is slow. Here multiplication means reproduction rate or production of offspring or young ones is a slow process in sexual reproduction. Next one, we'll see phases of life cycle. Phases of life cycle. In the life cycle, in all organisms, all living organisms, either it may be plants or it may be animals, especially the sexually reproducing organisms, in their life cycle there are three phases. There are three phases. So first phase is juvenile phase, or in case of plants it is called vegetative phase. Vegetative phase. And the second one is reproductive phase. It is common in all plants and animals. Reproductive phase. And the third one is senescent phase. So these are the three phases: juvenile phase or vegetative phase, reproductive phase and senescent phase. So in their life cycle, the first phase is juvenile phase or vegetative phase. So what is that juvenile phase and vegetative phase means? During this phase or during this stage, the individual started to grow. If growth of the individual takes place. Growth of the individual takes place. That means immediately after birth, the individual may not reproduce. It is highly impossible because it should attain or it should reach the reproductive phase. And before that phase, that is juvenile phase, where the reproduction does not take place. So here growth of the individual takes place, and now after completing this juvenile phase, now the individual is ready to gain the reproductive capacity. So that is the juvenile phase. In case of plants, it is called vegetative phase. By the completion of juvenile phase, we can say that now that individual is ready to get the reproductive capacity. And this juvenile phase or vegetative phase, it may be the duration of this phase is different in different types of organisms. In some plants it may be taken as a days or months, or it may take as years also. And the next one is reproductive phase. Reproductive phase means now it is the end of the juvenile phase and the starting or onset of the reproductive phase. So here the individual gets the development and maturity of the sexual organs or associated organs. So here the development. So during this stage, the individual gets the development and maturity of sex organs. Okay. So development and maturity of the sex organs takes place during the reproductive phase. And during this phase, almost the individual is ready to reproduce the offspring. So now the organisms can reproduce. Organisms can reproduce. And this phase is also different. Duration of this phase is also different in different types of organisms. So here also same. Some organisms till death they can reproduce, but some organisms before the death at certain period of time they can stop the reproduction. So that is the reproductive phase. On the basis of, so in case of flowers it is easily remarkable because if the plant get reproduction phase or it enters into the reproduction phase, it is marked by the flowering. Okay, when the flowers are started in the plant, we can easily say that the plant entered into the reproductive phase. And in some animals, like in especially mammals, we can say that because in the body of the organism there may some changes occurs in the animal body. So now we can say that when the changes occur in the body of the animal, so it is ready to reproduce. So such changes are taking place, and in plants on the basis of that flowering, we can classify them into two types of plants. One is monocarpic plants and polycarpic plants. Monocarpic and polycarpic. So here monocarpic plants means in their life cycle or in their lifetime only one time the plant can flower. Plant can give that flowers only once in their life cycle. So example for this, once flower produces once in their life. Such a type of plants are called monocarpic plants. So example is bamboo plants. Bamboo. Some bamboo species, even they live for 50 to 100 years. Their lifespan is nearly 50 to 100 years. But in that 50 to 100 years, they produce flowers only one time in their lifetime. But after flowering, after producing flower, these plants may die. Such a type of plants are called monocarpic plants. And polycarpic plants. Many of the angiosperms are polycarpic. That means they many times or several times the flowers can produced by the plant in their lifetime. So it may be 2 times or 3 times or many times these plants can produce flowers. And here also some plants, they may produce seasonally. Seasonally means yearly once or 12 years once, like that. So they seasonally they produce flowers. And some plants, see, seasonally flowers producing plants are examples like mango and some apple, like this. Plants are seasonally flower producing plants. And another plants are there continuously throughout year, without irrespective of that seasons, they continuously producing flowers. Such a type of plants are continuous flowering plants. Continuous flowering plants like a guava, a papaya, lemon. So these are continuously flower producing plants. So it is in case of plants. So there is one more example, like here I will tell that in monocarpic plants. Example, Strobilanthes kuntiana. One plant is there, Strobilanthes kuntiana. Commonly it is known as Nilkuranji. Nilkuranji. So here this plant Nilkuranji or Strobilanthes kuntiana, which is in Western Ghats and Nilagiri mountains. So in that places it is actually available, this plant. This plant flower 12 years once. So after every 12 years once the flowers are producing. So Strobilanthes kuntiana. It is important to note that in competitive exams also this monocarpic. about monocarpic plants. They may ask which plant produces only once in a lifetime, or which plant produces 12 years once. So like that some questions they may ask regarding monocarpic plants. And when we are talking about the plants, there are two types. One is monocarpic and polycarpic. And now we will come to the animals. So animals also say some animals seasonally they produce or they reproduce, and some are continuously until death continuously they produce. So such type of animals So in animals, we say that seasonal breeders, and continuous breeders. Seasonal breeders, especially most of the aquatic animals like fishes, bony fishes, and amphibians like frogs, they are seasonally producing in winter or in rainy season, where in which time the water is availability more. So in such times they can breed or they can reproduce. So such a type of animals are called seasonal breeders. Seasonal breeders means seasonally, in particular time only, either it may be summer or it may be winter. So during that particular time period only they can reproduce. So example, bony fishes and amphibians and continuous breeders. So continuous breeders are continuously throughout the year they can reproduce. Throughout the year they can reproduce. So irrespective of seasons, it may be summer or it may be winter, or any time they can reproduce. So example for that is birds, reptiles, mammals. Birds, reptiles and mammals. So these are the continuous breeders. And in some mammals, the cyclic changes are taking place during which ovaries and associated ducts and some hormonal changes are takes place. During that cyclic changes taking place, which we are referred to as menstrual cycle and estrus cycle. There are two different types of cycles are there. These are called cyclic changes. So cyclic. In case of mammals only. In case of mammals. Cyclic changes. So cyclic changes means during particular time period. Say for example during 1 month or during 3 months of time. During that 1 month time or 3 months time, the changes takes place in the ovaries where the egg or ovum is produced, and their associated ducts where the ovum or other type of zygote are developed like that, oviducts, and hormonal changes takes place which enhances the reproduction. Such type of changes are called cyclic changes. So there are two types of cyclic changes takes place in mammals. One is menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle and estrus cycle. Estrus cycle. So what are the differences between menstrual cycle and estrus cycle, and in which mammals these cyclic changes occurred? So See the menstrual cycle in primates example is here. It is a one order of the mammalians. So in that primates example apes, monkeys and human beings. So example primates. Example monkeys, apes and human beings. So in these animals the menstrual cycle takes place. Menstrual cycle occurred in the primates. So what is that estrous cycle? Estrous cycle is a cyclic changes which occur in non-primate animals. Non-primates. So non-primates example cat, dog, cattle like cow, buffalo, tiger, lion. These are the examples of non-primates. Cat, dog, cattle. So like cow, buffalo. So this belongs to non-primates. Here the estrous cycle occurs. And one more difference it is, this menstrual cycle ends with uterine bleeding. Uterine bleeding means uterus. So we know that the female mammalian has the uterus, and that uterus is composed of three layers. So external, middle layer and internal. That internal layer, innermost layer of the uterus is called endometrium. So this endometrium ruptured at the end of the menstrual cycle. At the end of the menstrual cycle, this endometrium gets ruptured and released from the female body, and that is the character of menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle ends with uterine bleeding. You remember that, and later in the next chapter we will in detail we will discuss with the cycles. And estrous cycle means it does not involvement of uterine bleeding. Uterine bleeding does not occur in estrous cycle. And female is sexually active irrespective of menstrual cycle. That means even the ovulation does not take place, still the female is sexually active throughout the reproductive phase. And estrous cycle. In estrous cycle, these non-primate animals, when there is ovulation, such a period only, in that period only the female is sexually active. Okay. So here female is sexually active even there is no ovulation, but here during ovulation only the female is active. During ovulation only the female is sexually active. And another characteristic of this menstrual cycle is it ends, menstrual cycle stops up to the certain age of the female. See, in case of human beings, if the female attains the 50 years old or 45 to 50 years, then the menstrual cycle will stop. That means ovulation will stop during that period. So if menstrual cycle ends with menopause. Menopause means the stoppage of menstrual cycle. So after attaining the 45 to 50 years of age, then the menstrual cycle will stop, and that period is called menopause. So that menopause is the last reproductive phase for the primates. And in estrous cycle, in the non-primate animals, this estrous cycle will continue till death. It continues till death. Once the female starts ovulation, it continues till death. Okay, by the death of the organism only this stops. But in case of primates, after such a period of time, the menstrual cycle will stops. Okay, these are the differences between menstrual cycle and estrous cycle. So, menstrual cycle takes place in primates. Example, monkeys, apes, human beings. And estrous cycle occurred in non-primates like cat, dog, cow, buffalo, tiger, like. Menstrual cycle ends with uterus endometrium rupturing. That is, simply we can call it as uterine bleeding. But here uterine bleeding does not take place. Sexually active throughout the reproductive phase. Even it may be in the menstrual cycle phase or not, but the female is sexually active. Here during ovulation time only the female is sexually active. This menstrual cycle ends with menopause and this ends with death of the organism. So these are the some reproductive phase in plants and animals. And we will go through the next phase, that is senescent phase. The last phase of life cycle is senescent phase. Senescent phase is the last phase of life cycle and it is called aging process. Aging. Aging means becoming old. Becoming old is the senescent phase, and during this phase the individual or that organism is getting a lot of differences before that reproductive phase. So how that individual was in reproductive phase, it is completely different in the senescent phase. And so many changes takes place in the senescent phase, like metabolic activities become slow and the physiologically and physically. So physically means the body appearance and physiologically like metabolic activities. These are getting lot of changes during senescent phase, and this senescent phase finally leads to death of the organism. So it is a aging process and finally it leads to death of an organism. And this is the short introduction regarding sexual reproduction. And here we will start with the next. Actually, what are the phases? What are the stages and processes involved in the sexual reproduction? The phases or the processes of sexual reproduction are classified into 3. So what are they? One is pre-fertilization events. So these are the events of sexual reproduction. Events of sexual reproduction. So here one is pre-fertilization events. And second one, fertilization. And third one, post-fertilization. post-fertilization events. Pre-fertilization events, fertilization and post-fertilization events. These are the three events which occur in the sexual reproduction. So we know that the main feature of this sexual reproduction is fertilization, fusion of gametes that leads to the sexual reproduction. So here pre-fertilization events means before fertilization. Before fertilization means before the fusion of male and female gametes. What are the processes or what are the events takes place in the organisms that are called pre-fertilization events. And the next one is fertilization, fusion of gametes. And post-fertilization means after fertilization, what are the events takes place up to the birth of the individual. So these are the three events which takes place in the sexual reproduction. So we will start with the pre-fertilization events. So what are the events takes place before the fertilization, and these events next it leads to the fertilization which facilitate the fertilization event. So pre-fertilization events, again here we will discuss with two events. One is gametogenesis and gamete transfer. One is gametogenesis and gamete transfer. Gametogenesis. So first we will see the gametogenesis. Formation of gametes is called gametogenesis or production of gametes. So here instead of production we will use the formation. Formation of gametes is called gametogenesis. It is of two types, as the sexual reproduction is sexual reproduction is involvement of two parents, male and female, So the gametogenesis is also two types, because male individual form different types of gametes, female produces different types of gametes. So it is also two types, like spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Spermatogenesis is the process of or formation of sperms. Male individual produces sperms. So when the sperms are produced from the male body, that process is called spermatogenesis, formation of sperms from the male individual. Oogenesis. Oogenesis. Formation of egg or ovum. Formation of egg or ovum from the female is called oogenesis. So here gametogenesis is of two types, spermatogenesis and oogenesis. So spermatogenesis is the formation of sperms from the male individual, and oogenesis is the formation of egg or ovum from the female body. So this is the two types of gametogenesis. And here very important note that we have to remember, gametes are always haploid in nature. Haploid. Gametes are haploid in nature. And one more thing here is, gametes are of two types, isogametes and heterogametes. Isogametes and heterogametes. So what are these isogametes or heterogametes? Isogametes means here male gamete and female gamete are morphologically similar. Morphologically means their appearance is similar, both male and female gametes. Both the gametes are similar. Such a type of gametes are called isogametes. Example, some algae. In some algae, or most of the algae produces isogametes. Both male and female gametes are similar. Heterogametes means male gamete and female gamete are different. Morphologically, they are different. So dissimilar gametes. Dissimilar gametes are produced by the individuals, by the species. Such a type of gametes are called heterogametes. Example, most of the higher plants and animals, they produces heterogametes. In these heterogametes, in majority of the organisms, male gamete is motile. Male gamete is motile and smaller in size. Smaller in size. When compared to the ovum, that male gamete or sperm is smaller in size. And female gamete, it is a sessile, that means non-motile. It cannot move and larger. When compared to the male gamete, female gamete is the larger one. So, and non-motile, it cannot move. So, in the majority of cases, the male gamete is moved to the ovum or egg. So, these are the heterogametes. And during this gametogenesis, what are the cell cycles or cell divisions? How the gametes are formed and what type of cell divisions involved in the process of gametogenesis? Means, majority of the gametes, already we discussed that majority of the gametes are haploid. So, haploid gametes are producing in all time. So, gametes are always haploid in nature. Means, the gametes contain only one set of chromosomes. And in some fungi, monerans and bryophytes. So fungi, some fungi, monerans and bryophytes. The plant body is haploid. So in first PU, in morphology of flowering plants, we studied that fungi, monerans, bryophytes. So these are the haploid plant body. they have haploid plant body. That means entire plant body. What are the cells present in the plant body? These all are haploid in condition. So these produces haploid gametes by the mitotic cell division. By the mitotic cell division. And we know that due to the mitotic cell division, there is no chance of difference in the chromosomal number. So that when the gametes are produced from the haploid plant body, it compulsory and it is mandatory, there is a mitotic cell division takes place. Okay. So this is very important to note that from the haploid plant body, if it has to be produced gametes, there must be the mitotic cell division. Now, in majority of animals and in majority of flowering plants like angiosperms and gymnosperms, the body of the individual is diploid. Even in case of human beings, all the cells are having two sets of chromosomes. So, the body, if the body is diploid, if it has to be produced gametes which are in haploid gametes, and in this case meiotic cell division takes place. Obviously here meiotic cell division. Remember that if the gametes are produced from the haploid plant body, then mitotic cell division takes place. If the gametes are produced from the diploid parent, then meiotic cell division takes place. Because meiotic cell division is a reduction cell division where the chromosomal number gets of its total number. So the gametes are produced in haploid condition, and these gametes are produced from a particular cell which are called gamete mother cell, GMC, gamete mother cell. See, from this cell the gametes are produced. And this GMC is also known as meiocyte. In majority of the organisms, these meiocytes are diploid, from which haploid gametes are produced. So GMC, gamete mother cell, or meiocyte, and from which the gametes are produced. Why this GMC is called meiocytes? Because this GMC undergoes meiotic division to produce haploid gametes. That's why these GMCs are called meiocytes. And here, for example, if organism contains 46 chromosomes, then gametes, they have only 23 chromosomes in case of human beings. So some examples I will give here. So organism, chromosomal number in meiocytes and chromosomal number in gametes. Organism name, meiocytes and gamete, means number of chromosomes. number of chromosomes. First we will take human beings. Human beings, in meiocytes it is diploid and it is haploid. 46 chromosomes and here 23 chromosomes. And in case of housefly, in meiocytes 12 chromosomes are present and in gametes 6 chromosomes are present. In rat, diploid 42, haploid 21. In dog, 78 in diploid, 39 in haploid. Cat, 38 diploid, 19 haploid. In Ophioglossum, Ophioglossum is a fen, pteridophyte. In this, diploid 1260 chromosomes are present and in haploid 630 chromosomes are present. And in fruit fly, it has 8 diploid, 4 haploid. And butterfly, so I will write here, butterfly, 380 in diploid, 190 in gametes. So here about this also one question they may ask in competitive, like if the meiocyte of this, say for example, if meiocyte of human being has 46 chromosomes, what is the number of chromosomes in their gametes? Or they may give the number of gametes, chromosomal number in gametes, and they may ask the number of chromosomes in meiocytes. So answer easily we can get. If they may ask n, we can double it. We have to double it. And if they may ask 2n, 2n equals to 46, n equals to 23. So like that we can calculate and we can easily say that the chromosomal number in meiocytes and gametes. Okay. And this is the gametogenesis process. In the next session, we will discuss with the gamete transfer and remaining phases of the fertilization and post-fertilization events.